This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to This Week in Alabama Politics. Folks, we're very fortunate tonight to have as our guest one of the most interesting and colorful and fun guys in state politics, the state auditor, Jim Zeigler. Folks, I've known Jim since we were in college together. Jim's now a couple of years ahead of me. He's not exactly my age, but we've known each other since college, and I've followed him throughout his career. He ran for the Public Service Commission, was elected. He was a young boy in his 20s to the Public Service Commission, then meandered down in Mobile and ran a couple of times for other things statewide, judgeships, I guess, things like that. Came within 50, you were 49% every time, about 4 or 5 races. How many races was it, Jim?
Too many, way too many. I picked up the nickname Mr. 49%, and I found out you don't get any prize for 49%.
But 4 or 5 years ago in 2014, you got more than 51, didn't you? How much percent?
Oh, man. They had to change my nickname. I got 63% of the vote.
In the first go-around? In the Republican primary?
No, in the runoff.
Okay. Now, who was in that race with you in 14? Some pretty good people, wasn't it?
Yes. Adam Thompson, who was working for the Secretary of State, who now is working for the Aging Commission, Office on Aging, and Dale Peterson, who has been a very colorful guy, who has been a favorite of the Tea Parties around the Birmingham area. And then there was a college buddy of your friend Bob Riley's, who ran, and there were 4 of us, and I led with 47% in a 4-way race and had to run off against Dale Peterson.
You say that facetiously about Bob Riley. I never was really fond of him. Is that why you say that?
Well, I knew that.
Okay. I wouldn't write good things about O'Reilly. But anyway, I do appreciate you being with us, but as a state auditor. And Jim, even though he lived in, how many years you been down in Baldwin, Mobile County? You live in Baldwin or Mobile?
I now live in Mobile. I was the only person living in Baldwin County to move to Mobile County.
Right.
Everybody else has come in the opposite direction, but it had to do with a young lady I met, and
y'all married?
She is. My wife Jackie, and she had a real nice house in West Mobile. So she made that decision. I moved from Baldwin to Mobile. I was the only one.
Now, she's on the state school board, too.
That's right. In 2016, Jackie Zeigler was elected to the State Board of Education for the 1st District. That's the 7 counties down there. It used to be Bradley Burns' seat on the State Board of Education. And she beat anything I ever did. She beat an incumbent who had been appointed by Governor Bentley back when he was still popular, before everything hit the fan. And the Montgomery establishment raised something like $220,000 against Jackie in favor of the young incumbent, and Jackie raised $20,000, and she beat him 62-38.
Who was that?
Named Matthew Brown, a fine young man in Baldwin County.
But that's the old 1st District.
That's right.
Hey, let me ask you, is that her first race for office?
Oh, yes.
What made her? Was she a educator by profession?
Yes, Jackie is a retired elementary school principal of perhaps the finest school in the Mobile district, which is by away the largest school district in the entire state with 110 schools in it. That's a big school. And she was principal of Mary B. Austin School, an award-winning National Blue Ribbon
What
school.
part of Mobile is that in?
Spring Hill, right up and near St. Paul's in the middle of Spring Hill.
Did she grow up in Mobile?
No, Jackie, she did not, and she's been there 30 years, as have I.
You've been there 30 years now.
So that makes me old Mobile.
Hey, Jim, I don't know. I think you got to get close to 300 before you're old Mobile. You know how they think down there. Hey, Jim, tell people the truth, though. You born right there in Talladega County in Sylacauga. You a Sylacauga boy.
That's correct, and I was back the other week. We had the reunion of the Sylacauga High School Aggie $500,000 band, of which I played a trumpet in the band, and so I went and I played with the alumni band and played for the pregame show at the Sylacauga Aggie football
Then
game.
tell folks you went on to Alabama and played in the $1 Million Band.
That's right. People think I'm making it up, and I tell them I'm one of the few people that ever played in both the $1 Million Band and the $500,000 Band. That was the nickname of Sylacauga High.
Was that
band.
really its nickname?
Yes. And
that it was kind of a takeoff on the Alabama band?
It exactly was. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And I really enjoyed seeing my old friends back up there and meeting with a lot of them. It was a paradise growing up in Sylacauga of the 1950s and 60s.
Tell me your memories of old Bill Nichols. He was your congressman?
He was my congressman, and
he was a great congressman.
He was, and Bill Nichols appointed my brother, Alan Zeigler, to the U.S. Air Force Academy
He was
in
older
Colorado
than you?
Springs.
Your older brother?
No, he's younger than I am. And it was, Alan was outstanding at the U.S. Air Force Academy and finished, and they did so well, Air Force sent him on to UCLA to get a MBA, a Master in Business Administration. And then he went in the Air Force, and a few years later we ran into Congressman Nichols, and he said, Alan, you're the rankest one I've ever had. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, not all of them that I appoint get this far along, and you're the rankest one. And that was...
He remembered it then.
Yes, it was...
Who was the congressman from before Bill Nichols from that district? Do you remember?
He beat the Republican that had been elected
Only
in the
2
'64.
Just 2 years.
Right, from Anniston.
Andrews.
Glenn Andrews from Anniston only served 2 years after the Goldwater.
But that was the old, the guy from Gas, Albert Raines was in that.
No,
had that
Kenneth Roberts. This was
That's
the
right,
Kenneth Roberts congressional district, and he got shot in the halls of Congress when a bunch of Puerto Rican terrorists came in there trying to shoot everybody up, and they shot Kenneth Roberts from Anniston, Alabama.
Didn't kill any of them.
No, not at all. He was able to come back fine and live out the rest of his term until he lost in the Goldwater landslide of '64. Interestingly, those Puerto Rican nationalist terrorists went over to the Blair House looking for President Harry Truman.
Who was vice president?
No, at that time he was president. And see that they were redecorating the White House.
And he was living in the Blair House?
He was in the old Blair House, and he had lived there as vice president, and but they were redecorating it, and the Puerto Ricans came over, and if somebody hadn't been on their toes, they might have shot President Truman, but they caught him.
Had they already been to Congress before that?
Going on more or less simultaneously is my understanding.
I remember Bill Dickinson used to talk about that all the time. That's something he remembered all his. I was friends with Bill Dickinson, who was my congressman here in Montgomery, and worked for him in Washington and Montgomery, and he would talk about that Puerto Rican thing. That was a big thing.
It was, and nowadays you wouldn't think that kind of thing would happen. We don't think about a Puerto Rican being a terrorist, but apparently they wanted independence, and a bunch of them came over here.
Jim, let's go back to your people. One more thing about Sylacauga. I know people who are history students of Alabama realize the marble, how important marble was. But there's another plant up there that everybody worked at. There was marble. There was a big. What other industry was big in Sylacauga when you were growing up?
Well, there was Avondale Mills,
That's
which
right.
is completely gone now. That was a big blow to the town, and we lost Dixie Color Printing and American Color.
But there's something else there, though. There was something else there, wasn't it? Wasn't it like so the Avondale Mills was the biggest employer.
Yes,
it was bigger than the marble thing, wasn't it?
They're both big. The marble quarries are alive and well. It's the most important marble quarry in the United States.
What caused that? What caused them that perfect marble to be there in that part of that county, in your county, Sylacauga? What caused that geographically? I mean, physiologically.
God.
But I mean,
it was a gift of God. It the condition, the calcium deposits, the water seepage, the hardening over the years, and it's just a gift from God that keeps on giving. That marble, I don't think, ever will run out.
What point in time in Alabama's history did they discover that marble was there to make them like all that perfect marble? It's the most perfect marble almost in the country.
It is, and it was in the late 1800s. I remember it well, Steve. And it started up small and got larger and larger, and for years and years there was two major marble companies there, Moretta Hara, which was an Italian history to it, and Georgia Marble Company.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still go around to certain places, the Capitol and the buildings, and the tour guide will tell you, this is Georgia Marble. Georgia Marble is a brand name. It was a brand name at that time, and it was from Sylacauga, Alabama. So I correct them and say this is Sylacauga Marble. Sylacauga is famous for really three things besides me.
Most people don't realize you're from. They think you're from Mobile now, though.
Well, the people in Sylacauga know. They know I'm from there, and I go back, and I've still got kinfolk.
Do you do well there when you run statewide?
Oh man, yes.
I bet you do.
I sure do.
Oh, John Merrill runs like a scalded dog through Cleveland County, because his daddy
He does.
was
His
probate
daddy
judge.
and his family. He was raised there, and he does real well. But
I do television in Birmingham on election night on CBS 42 and on Birmingham, and Birmingham people tonight don't know the country's sayings like some other parts of the state. I got to reading the results of one time Roy Moore was running, and he was beating the dog out of everybody else, and I was just kind of thinking to myself as I was reading the results, I said, look at him, old Roy Moore's running like a scalded dog through the wiregrass. And they didn't know what in the world I was talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Exactly, and he was strong throughout the wiregrass.
I didn't realize, I was figuring his strongest area was right above Birmingham, but the wiregrass is pretty religious.
They are, they certainly are.
I didn't realize that. Do you do well in the wiregrass?
I do. I do very well in Houston, Coffee, Dale, Geneva.
Do you campaign hard down there when you run?
I do. Usually I will have at least one major speech at a civic club or a Republican meeting. And besides that, I'll drop by the local newspapers and radio stations. And there used to be some good local TV shows down there, but there's not as many as there used to be.
Jim, now go back to one more, get back to your current position. When you ran in 2014, you beat those folks we talked about, but in 18 when you ran for election, you didn't have much opposition, or did you?
Well,
who ran against you in 18?
See if I can remember their names.
Several?
I had two opponents in the Republican primary, a young assistant DA named Elliot Lipinski, nice young man, and a pastor above Birmingham named Stan Cook, who had run for lieutenant governor against KI.
I had him on this show when he ran for lieutenant governor one time.
Yes, he ran against KI for lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
And they thought I was vulnerable for some reason. They thought that I was doing things that the state auditor doesn't normally do. And I said, guilty. I am. Almost everything I'm doing.
Guilty?
Normal state auditor. And but I won without runoff this time.
Good. Well, now, Jim, let's go. Your current, what you've been working on is that, tell us about all that toll thing going on in Baldwin and Mobile County. Tell us the history of that thing, and then you got really involved in it. Y'all just stopped that thing. They were going to, the government was going to build a toll road down there, and it got all kind of news. Now, I hate to tell you this, but I was talking to somebody about it, and they asked me about it. I know it was a big issue there, but it didn't get much traction around the rest of the state. You know, most people think They don't care if you got a toll bridge down there or not. But Mobile and Baldwin people sure did.
Well,
Tell the history of that whole thing. You got against it and beat it, didn't you?
Yes, they started a number of years ago talking about putting either a new bridge or expanding the existing I-10 Bayway.
Now, it's a pretty expensive project now.
It is. From Mobile over to Spanish Fort, Daphne. And it does get congested at rush hour or anytime there's a wreck.
How do folks drive over to Baldwin County now when they work in Mobile and drive back home to Baldwin County? What's their thoroughfare? What's the normal route?
That's it, I-10, that's it. And
and they were going to build a bridge, make it bigger or something?
That's correct. What started out as a proposed $850 million project with no mention of any tolls, they're just going to be paid out of state and federal funds like everything else, it morphed into a $2.1 billion Taj Mahal bridge, and it was going to be tolled. Now, let me tell you about their discount program for the tolls for the local people.
It was $6 per passage.
Now, I'm going to tell you about the discount. The discount, if you prepay by the month, $90 a month, it's going to cost you $1,080 a year.
Right, commute.
Per car. See, that's something ALDOT was bad about not saying.
You can still pass it on the old road, though, couldn't you? Because they won't tear the old road down. It's just like a new one, though.
Well, that's correct. But if one car went over the old causeway, no problem. But that's not the deal. If 15,000 extra cars go over that old causeway and the old Bankhead Tunnel and the Cochrane Bridge, you've got a tremendous mess. You'll be spending $2 billion and creating a mess instead of solving a mess. So the people knew this. Somehow or another, the governor and her chief of staff, Joe Bonner, and ALDOT.
But now, when it started back before the governor was governor, then the whole project idea, it's just they came to culmination.
The toll came later.
Okay.
And
since Kay Ivy's been governor.
Yes, and the more that I learned about this proposal, the worse it got. There were horrible things like they weren't going to have a toll booth. You didn't have to stop. Big Brother would have a camera taking a picture of your automobile tag, and to qualify for any kind of discount, you had to fill out a thing where this private tolling company could debit your bank account once a month and charge you for all the tolls. I just don't want any foreign outfit.
But they could pay a cash thing if they wanted to, though, couldn't? There's no
toll booths.
No toll booths. So the only way you pay is somebody seeing your tag and sending you a bill?
You can buy a transponder and hook it up to your bank account, and it'll catch that transponder when it comes.
What if I went down there once, twice a year and wanted to go across that bridge? You can't go across it?
You go across it, and you'll get a bill at the end of the month, plus administrative fees. And if you're late paying, the penalties are hellacious. And then our legislature, in their wisdom, passed a bill to enable this private tolling company to revoke your driver's license and car tag if you don't pay.
You mean if I went down there if I live here in Montgomery and drove down there twice a year, some camera would pick my car tag up and send me a bill in the mail?
That's correct.
Well, how would they know my mailing address?
The car tag.
Okay.
They send the bill to the car tag, and if you
there's no booth, you can't pay them $6.
If you've moved or something, you're going to be in trouble because those penalties are going to add up, and you're going to find your driver's license has been suspended.
Well, I got news for you. If people around the state knew that, they'd be mad about that.
Well, they were mad about it, and we did a favor to the rest of the state blocking this thing because ALDOT's tax of the future is a new toll tax. They've got an idea to get billions in from these outside investors and put up toll roads on Highway 280 in Jefferson County.
And that was the place. They're going to try to put them on 280 also?
That's the rumor. And the Northern Belt line around Birmingham and 565 in Huntsville, all of these were possibilities. They already tried to put one up on a new bridge over the Tennessee River in Decatur, and the people there, this was 3 years ago, rose up and blocked it. And we studied what they did, and it helped us to figure out how to block it. When we first started 4 months ago, people would tell me, you are wasting your time. they've decided in Montgomery that they're going to toll that bridge. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm glad I didn't listen to that.
Well, you beat it.
We beat it. We figured out how, and with the help of 55,000 people that joined our Facebook opposition group, blocked the Mobile Bayway toll. And that opposition group is going on because we don't want the toll to pop back up in a road near you.
Why in the world have toll like a booth? You can pay somebody if you want to drive across it. Pay them in cash. You ain't got to worry about getting a bill. Send a bill in the mail. Write a check for $6.
Correct. Everything that was in this was somebody's crazy idea. And
why the other stations don't even have a booth? You can pay somebody if you want to drive through the bridge.
Most of them have both. You can either pay in cash, or you can get a Sun Pass or a Peach Pass.
I mean, people like me just may go down there once, twice a year or something. If I went, I mean.
You're going to get a bill in the mail with administrative fees tacked on.
I wouldn't like that.
But we blocked it, and we've now got our Lazarus project going on.
$6 is a pretty good bit of money to ride down the road.
It is, and then that's just one way.
Even today.
Yeah, and that's just one way. If you come back, it's another $6 plus administrative fees.
Well, there's a toll bridge up here in Elmore County coming into Montgomery, though.
So that's a
Once
little.
they charge that one on that one. I never have been on it.
That's a little privately operated thing. You don't have to take that. You just get on 231 and come. That's a world of difference. Can you imagine putting a toll on an interstate highway and giving them a 55-year contract? Some outside outfit, possibly a foreign outfit, leasing them 8 miles via interstate highway for 55 years and let them collect the tolls. I'm against it.
Y'all beat it too down there. But now y'all still get back and forth on that road. I mean, the old road, can't you?
The road is not broke. Now, we have two options to go from here. We can show them how they can fix the existing bayway, expand it, fix the entrance to the Wallace Tunnel, which is a tremendous engineering problem, and do that with the existing state and federal funds. Or build a basic bridge and tie in to the existing bayway without any tolls, with the state and federal monies. They were going to spend $300 million and dynamite the existing bayway.
No, tear the whole road up. So you have to take the toll road.
It's not broken.
But they were going to tear so they have to take the toll road.
That's right, and they were going to
Nobody knew that. They were going to blow the whole old road up.
That's right, and not only did you have to pay the toll to go over the new bridge, if you came through the Wallace Tunnel and got on it, which would also lead to it, that was tolled too, same amount. And it's been paid for 40 years.
Well, I never heard of such a thing.
I hadn't either. And
so you wouldn't have any other option but to take that toll road?
Well, you can go the old causeway, and 15,000 other extra cars. But if it floods, you can't get across the old causeway.
People got mad down there, didn't they?
It was a bad idea. So after we beat it, I sent a request to the governor asking her to fire ALDOT Director John Cooper. And I had what essentially was a 5-count indictment against ALDOT Director Cooper. He's had failure after failure after failure, and every one of them had to do with that I-10 bridge in Mobile. He wanted to have to toll it.
Why?
He had $27 million of federal funds and got it for the purpose of fixing the entryway to the Wallace tunnels, which is half the problem. He messed around, delayed, and lost the money, and the feds took it back.
Is that right?
That would be a firing offense right there. And then...
Now, what if Chevy's the one who got that money, isn't it? Probably.
I'm not sure. But ALDOT had it in hand and lost it, had to give it back. How often does that happen?
Lost that $27 million.
Yes. And then it was time to put Alabama on the Trump infrastructure plan, Alabama projects, including this I-10 bridge. ALDOT messed around and did not get Alabama on the Trump infrastructure plan. They just didn't do it. Negligence. And then ALDOT qualified for a $250 million grant, an infra grant for that I-10 bridge. They filled the application out wrong, left 2 pages out, had problems with it that an 8th grader could have done, and they lost the grant that they had qualified for. That's 3 things in a row. And then, that would be a firing offense in the private world, in the corporate world already. John Cooper has lost the confidence of the citizens of Alabama and many of the elected officials. And Governor Ivey would be doing the state a favor if she let him retire and go back.
He was a leftover from the last administration.
He was, certainly was.
She just kept him on.
Well, we need to correct that mistake. And I'm working on a plan now. The legislature will come back in February.
Yeah.
Working on some legislation, and now may be the time. John Cooper's lost the confidence of some of the legislators. Yeah. He's insulted.
Especially the ones down there, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm working on a plan where Alabama would take a look at what Mississippi does. They have an elected transportation commission, formerly called the Mississippi Highway Commission. And you run, it's 3 districts, 3 different parts of Mississippi, and the people have confidence in him. And if they have a project they want looked at, they file a motion before their commission. Well, if there's one they want to object to, they file an objection before they, and there's a vote, open recorded vote on each one. It's open meetings, open records, and that would be such a refreshing change from this ALDOT mafia over there that we've got.
Makes sense. Jim, our time's up. It may be good to have you back on again to see if this thing's resurrected or what goes on with this. But we'll talk more about it, but our time's up for tonight. Folks, our guest today has been State Auditor Jim Zeigler, who has been involved recently in the I-10 dilemma down there in Mobile and Baldwin counties. He's very active, a state auditor, and we thank him for taking time out of his busy schedule to be with us. And we thank you viewers for watching. Hope you tune in again next week for Alabama Politics. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir.